Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight, we have in the featherweight division, Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. So Thomas Almeida is coming back after 2 years. It's been injuries, there's been fights falling through, there's been COVID, people tested positive for COVID, so it's been a little minute since he last fought, and he's coming off a knockout loss to Rob Font. I think like a head kick in the second round, but coming off a knockout loss, riding a 2-fight losing streak with Jimmy Rivera and Rob Font. Hasn't been looking the best. I mean, wasn't looking the best before he went on that hiatus or that 2-year gap, or between this 2-year gap, or before that 2-year gap, and then that 2-year gap. But yeah, he hasn't been looking the best. And I'm not saying like he just fell off. Definitely ain't saying that. But what more is so kind of sticks out to me against this fight with him against Martinez is that this division is the best division. In my opinion, this is the best division in the UFC at the moment. This is the toughest division in UFC. This is where like literally there's several different fighters who all have good chances of becoming the champion, and there's fighters who can beat the champion and who can challenge the champion. Like I said, this division is very competitive. A lot of fighters who can challenge for the title. A lot of fighters around who can challenge for a lot of talent. Good age. It's not like a division that's old. It's not a division that's too young. It's a division like really everybody is right where they need to be. And there are very much all factors, at the top or end of the division, or even like from the mid to the top. It's not a division where it's like top heavy, or it's just like 2-3 guys who really contending for the belt. It's like 5, 6, 7 guys in this weight class who can all very much be champions. So this is a much tougher division. And it has evolved a lot over the past 2 years. We even look at some of the fighters who maybe were skidding back then, or some of the fighters who just weren't there a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. Now you look at the same fighters. Pretty much everyone in the division has upgrade. Even the level, when you enter this division or enter the UFC, the level of competition, like the entry level you expect from people entering the UFC at this division, has jumped up significantly. So not only has he been dealing with being inactive, the division has gotten much better and has been moving along. Hasn't been being stagnant. It hasn't been getting older. It's just been getting better and better. People coming in already as good as the people that were fighting for belts in this weight class 2 years ago. So like that's how I see it. So it's definitely evolving, this division is. And that's where I kind of come down to. And a little bit in this prediction, it was interesting to note, but not to drag this one on. I noticed the minutes kind of went up a little bit on that. But I see this one. I think Thomas Almeida definitely offensively is a better striker. But his defense has always been questionable. His chin has always been questionable. He fights very square, fights very boxy, but he has a high arsenal of strikes, like 1,000 different ways he can destroy you. But you stay in front of him, he can pick you apart. But what I like about John Martinez is he's the slightly taller fighter at 5'8" versus the 5'7" Almeida. He mixes the angles. He's very loose, very good footwork. I can see if Thomas Almeida could bully him a little bit, but I don't really think Almeida could bully. I think Martinez is the bigger fighter. I think Almeida might be a little bit stronger. He's definitely the lankier fighter as Martinez by an inch. And I like his defense better, I like his versatility, and I really like the fact that he's not nearly as hittable as Almeida is. And so the fact that comes down to me is the fact that Martinez is not as square as Almeida. Better defense, better footwork, and he's been active. And I think that's what it comes down. I think it'll be a close, fun firefight. But Martinez's activity will allow him to be fresher out there, be active, whereas Almeida will be dealing with ring rust. That's going to allow Martinez to get off early. Kind of force Almeida to either try to start off too early, or had to get, in this fight, be trying to get his feet underneath him after being inactive for 2 years, coming off injuries, coming off layoffs. And that's going to allow Martinez to be the fresher fighter out there, be more active, and really be the one that's been there, whereas Almeida been on the sidelines and trying to, get back into his groove of things. That's going to allow Martinez to really just edge him in a very close competitive fight, I see. So in this fight, I got Jonathan Martinez via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Jimmy Crute versus Modestas Bukauskas. And people might say, oh, you messed up his name again, but it is what it is. And how I see this fight is, for some reason, Jimmy Crute's a big favorite. I don't see why. I don't think he should. I think this is a very close competitive fight, no matter how you see it. So it should not be no big odds in favor of Crute. Modestas Bukauskas is coming up in weight, which is interesting. But I don't think that in no way says, oh, he's coming up, so he's going to be smaller, so he's going to be that. He's actually the taller fighter, and he actually will have a pretty big reach advantage over, I think he'll have a 4-inch, like a 78 versus 74-inch reach, so he'll have a 4-inch reach advantage, and he'll have a 1-inch height advantage over Crute. So. And to get to the point where I think Crute should be favored a little bit, but I don't think he should be no big favorite like he is currently, but they might change that from the time I'm predicting this video and making this video, and from the time I last checked where the betting lines were, but it should not be that far apart. So really, Modestas Modestus Bukauskas is a very big steal right now. If it stays where it is, I say you got some money, you smart, put some money on Bukauskas. That's what I'm really saying this one. I gave him a little bit of disrespect last time I predicted on him, but and even though in that last fight, it really was he really got outstruck up until that his opponent attempted to take him down and he hit him with those little elbows from like the sprawl position against the cage, that cage sprawl. It still was a very close, tight, technical matchup. And when I seen that fight, I see Bukauskas improved on his footwork. He still ended up getting circled to the cage, but not early on. He had better awareness, better head movement. He sharpened up his jab, sharpened up his tools. Like from when I first predicted him in that last the last fight he was on, until this fight. I mean, well, really that last fight till his fight when he debuted on. Before I watched him come to the UFC, in his debut fight in the UFC, I seen great improvement. So he's still a young fighter. Crute's actually younger than him by like 2 or 3 years, but it's still a very young fighter. These young fighters can improve a lot, and I saw a lot of improvement in Bukauskas. Very long. He uses his reach very well, better footwork, improving on the head movement, improving on his range control, and I like that from Crute. But when I'm like coming down to prediction, why I'm gonna lean to him over Crute is I feel like Crute still is a very hittable fighter. He still is a fighter who forces things a lot. He kind of fights like a brute out there. He'll kind of force takedowns, force grappling strains. He'll be in bad positions and try to muscle his way out. And I think as far as taking down Bukauskas, you might get swayed by his last performance where he took down a guy who's really bloated welterweight. But Bukauskas is a much bigger fighter. He's not a small guy that you can just manhandle around. I don't think Crute can. I think Crute can have success with takedowns, potentially. But Bukauskas is getting better at his sprawl. And as we've seen, not only does he have a better improved sprawl, he might allow you to get to that takedown, get to his hips, but he'll sprawl very well. And he'll hit you with those elbows. So that's another worry there. So it's still easy, not easy, but he still has some improvements on that footwork and some improvements on that cage control. You're not getting circled into the cage, and which allow easy entries on takedowns. He still needs to work on that. But as far as defense, his defense has improved significantly. His head movement has improved significantly. And his jab is much sharper than it was like maybe a year or 2 years ago. So he has improved significantly. And I just think overall, he's the more technical striker. He's longer. Crute is too hittable. And Bukauskas is going to exploit that. I think Crute would try to force a wrestling exchange in this one. I think he might get a takedown here or there, but I think Bukauskas has always been able to get back to his feet very well. He might give up takedowns, but he gets back to his feet very easily. And now you got to worry about those sprawling elbows. He got some sharp elbows, so I think it's going to be an issue for Crute, make him maybe hesitant to shoot on shots. And on the feet, Bukauskas is the longer, sharper fighter. I think Crute, like I said, Crute's been hittable. He's been hit by literally everyone. His chin is wide open, got a big head, and don't know how to move it. If they're reaching that jab with Bukauskas is going to pepper him up with the jab, chew up his legs, chew up his body. And Crute's really going to be trying to force and overextend on shots, and Bukauskas is going to tag him up, counter him, and pick him apart on the feet. I think it's a exciting fight, but it's a fight where Bukauskas' technical advantages and his technical edges that shines in this fight. So in this fight, I got Modestus Bukauskas via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the women's flyweight division, Caitlin Chookagian versus Jessica Andrade, Andrade. Look at this one. I'm not going to even run through the whole thing. Andrade is coming up from the strawweight division. Yeah, the strawweight division after just losing to Rose Namajunas in a rematch. Caitlin Chookagian's coming off a loss to Valentina Shevchenko. Then she just beat her sister Antonina Shevchenko in dominant fashion, dominant statement-proven fashion. But really looking at this fight, not even to try to beat around the bush. Caitlin Chookagian is really just a karate-style striker. She showed grappling in her last fight, but she went against a fighter in Antonina Shevchenko, who's grappling, we all know, is her biggest weakness. And she can get taken down and get dominated on the ground. And that's an area she still has to prove. She's very green in that area, and she's still trying to improve. And all Caitlin Chookagian did as the veteran was take advantage of a fighter who has a clear hole in their game. So even though that performance can be impressive, all this showed is maybe the fight IQ that if you're fighting a fighter who you know has a weakness in one area, you can take advantage of that. But going against Andrade, she won't have that same advantage. She'll have a huge height and a huge reach advantage, as everyone does have over Andrade. Andrade is like 5'0", and she, you don't even have to add the 0. I'm just adding the 0 for effect, but 5 feet tall, short T-Rex arms, but she brings the fight to you. She's physically strong. She's strong as a wildebeest. She'll pick you up and slam you. Cover the cage, go to your body, go to your head. She's short, she'll put you in range where she can hit you and you can't hit her. And another thing that impressed me in her fight against Rose Namajunas in the second fight, she has to look better than she did the first fight. She won the first fight and lost the second fight, but she looked better in the second fight than she did in the first fight. I think in the boxing exchanges, in the first fight, she was getting out of boxing and picked apart, but she just manhandled Rose Namajunas. In the second fight, she couldn't necessarily manhandle Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas, I think she worked on her takedown defense. She worked on her strength and conditioning, so that wasn't the same effect in the second fight. But as far as striking wise, her reactions to Rose Namajunas' boxing was much better. She was able to time her jab several times and catch her with uppercuts. Like having that short of a reach versus a longer, faster, technical boxer like Namajunas, to be able to catch her and intercept her jab with an uppercut, just shows like she has very good time. So with those little T-Rex arms to go against a fighter with that long of arms and that solid of boxing, that well rounded, that much arsenal, and be able to time their strikes and catch them mid shot, giving them all of that, shows she's improving. She's making some improvement. She didn't just come not to stand the same. Whereas Chookagian, she, like I said, she really ain't shown me nothing. Her whole career in the UFC, she has only had zero success with her grappling. She just fought a woman who's not is fleshed out and just took advantage of her unfleshed out area, or not as well fleshed out area. So I kind of see this fight. Chookagian not a power puncher. She's long. She's a volume striker. I just see Andrade just pressuring her, maybe giving up the first round like she does a lot of times with these looser, lighter footed fighters, or fleeter feeted fighters who you gotta kind of cut the cage down, like, and start breaking them down over the course of the fight, and then manhandling them. That's kind of see this fight. Like, she's gonna have to cut the cage off, maybe give up that first round, get in tagged, we get little peppermint strikes on her entries. But eventually she's gonna start to get in, go to Chookagian's body, catch her kicks, pick her up, body slam her, and really try to be that bully like she always is. Let me slow down and be that bully like she always is in fights, and start to weather on the fleeter-footed Chookagian, who like she's fleeter-footed but lacks power. So each of those strikes to get in and land harder shots. Then over the course of the fight, just wear on her, break her down. I don't think she stops Chookagian. Like I said, Chookagian's a talented fighter in her own. She's tougher in her own right. But I think Andrade eventually started to break her down over the fight, start to cut the cage off, go to her body, pick her up, slam her, beat her on the ground, like land some heavy ground and pound on the ground, and wear her out. So after the first round, probably give that up, but be strong at the end of the first round, then pick it up from the second round, early on the second round, carry that through the third round, and probably have a weathered Chookagian after 3 rounds and win it 2 rounds to 1. So in this fight, I got Jessica Andrade via decision. And sorry for that speed. I was talking mad fast at some points in some video, but I gotta monitor that. I kind of get a little too fast at times with these videos, or just in general when I'm talking, but I gotta work on that. So now to our co-main event. We have in the heavyweight division, Gane versus Delija. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but this is not one of the predictions that's going to be the longest. I see this fight. Delija, they're actually both like 6'5", both long and rangy, but Delija had like a 77-inch reach, and Gane has 81-inch reach, so he'll have about a 4 or 5-inch reach advantage over Delija. And I think he's just the crisper striker. Delija has showed grappling, but I think Gane is the better grappler. Delija is a decent striker, but he's not an amazing striker. I think the best thing he likes to throw is his right hand. That's really the most power he has, and sometimes no hook. So what he likes to do, he likes to kind of hang the jab out there. He might throw a head kick, a rear leg head kick at times. But really a lot of his kicks are very herky and jerky and telegraph. He can put some power in it a little bit. It's something to worry about, but he pretty much telegraphs his kick, so it's not no big issue for a high-level striker like Gane to see it coming. And really what his most dangerous tool is his right hand, which can be a little bit sneaky at times. Like he'll try to pep you with a jab a little bit. And he'll always try to overextend and fire that right hand. It could be sneaky, it could be fast, but it's still, most times he throws it's overextended, and most time it doesn't reach the target. Now going against a guy like Gane, his striking is much crisper. He has a better jab, has the longer reach. He mixes in his kicks better, mixes in his arsenal better. And the same way that Delija could throw his right hand straight, Gane could throw his right hand overhand, just this move and give that over his guard. And Delija holds his guard a little bit low. Footwork not the best. Kind of hangs his head up a little bit here. Like I said, overextends on his jab, herky jerky kicks. And also in the pocket, oftentimes in the pocket, when he gets in the pocket, he'll throw his chin up and swing in the inside. Like, so he gets sloppy on the inside. His main thing, he likes to close the gap with that right hand. And at times, like to fire the head kick, but the head kick is very herky-jerky. Really, his kicks in general are herky-jerky, and he don't throw them enough. I guess maybe because he fought Marcin Tybura years ago, when he threw a leg kick, he got checked, and he broke his leg, so he don't throw that kick as much, or he may be a little bit hesitant when he throws it, but that's definitely something to pick up. It's like, a lot of his striking is very herky-jerky on the inside. He's kind of sloppy, but a clean, I'm not even going to say clean. He got a clean right hand for the most part, but definitely overextends on that. On the inside, pretty sloppy at times, like the wing shots. Decent kicks, but herky-jerky. And overall, to get to the point, I can say all that. But Ciryl Gane is just, they're the same height, but Gane will have the height advantage. I mean, not the height advantage, the same height, but it will have the reach advantage. And he has a better jab, and I think he's a cleaner, crisper striker, and that's really all it is. And overall, he's a cleaner fighter. I think he can out-grapple Delija if he wants to, and I think he can out-strike Delija if he wants to. But I think in this fight, I think he just keeps finding feet, peppers Delija with his jab, frustrates him with the jab, then comes up top with that overhand in the second round and drops him and finishes him off in short succession in that second round. So in this fight, I got Ciryl Gane via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in our main event in the featherweight division, Brian Ortega versus Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. So look at this fight right here. This fight was supposed to happen, I think, at least one time before. And then I don't know who got injured. It was Ortega or Chan Sung Jung, but either way, the fight didn't happen. It fell through. And I think somewhere but leading up to this fight, Brian Ortega smacked Chan Sung Jung's translator and friend, that K-pop guy or Korean rap artist guy, Jay Park, I believe his name is. Yeah, Jay Park, the music artist guy. But yeah. And that may definitely change the complexity of things, kind of change people's image of Ortega. Ortega's supposed to be this nice guy, this cool guy, and then he tried to be this tough guy. He's slapping people's managers and translators and stuff. So definitely changed his image a little bit. Definitely something he got to recover from. He apologized and stuff, but the bad blood is still there from that. Chan Sung Jung went from smiling and shaking hands when at the weigh-ins to, I don't know, a lot of stuff. But he could say his translator was saying stuff. But really, all Korean Zombie was trying to do was market the fight. He wasn't trying to say anything real disrespectful about Brian Ortega, but Brian Ortega took the fact that his translator was saying something and got mad at the translator. So it was really all Brian Ortega's fault for taking something the wrong way. And then why even hitting people who aren't fighters anyway. But so really, to get to the point, Ortega is in the wrong all for that. But this is not a game of morality. This is a game of who has a style to win. Now I see this fight. I think the Max Holloway fight exposed Ortega in a lot of ways. Because before the Holloway fight, you thought this Ortega, if he even touches you and latches up with you, he's just gonna for sure submit you. You just thought this guy was the greatest thing since sliced bread as far as BJJ in MMA. But you realize his paths to submissions aren't really that verse. He's not gonna roll and leg lock you. He's not that guy. Or at least at this level, he's not gonna roll and leg lock anybody. And his takedown offense isn't phenomenal. In a lot of his submission game, I mean, I think he took down Max Holloway for a brief second. Max Holloway just didn't even care about submission, just got right back up. Then he knew where he was at and just stood back up. So I think Ortega may got one or two takedowns, but did literally nothing with it. And then a lot of his other submissions, he likes to get a snap down and work from there, try to jump on a guillotine or a Darce or a front choke. And a lot of stuff not really gonna work with people too much. And so I just see this fight with Chan Sung Jung is I think Ortega really doesn't have the most avenues to submissions or to get the fight to the ground. And his takedown offense isn't the best, especially at a higher level. And you're going to get Chan Sung Jung, who has very underrated jiu-jitsu and definitely could hold his own with Ortega in a pure BJJ match. And it's not going to be a pure BJJ match. Definitely has a takedown defense to stop much better wrestlers than Ortega, much better grapplers than Ortega. So I feel like he can neutralize Ortega's takedown defense and really force him to try to make the fight ugly or force him to try to snap down and get his choke. And for him to even get in that position, he has to wear Chan Sung Jung out or tag him or catch him or something. Just trying to rush and try to snap him down or try to get in and snap him down for a headlock or try to force him to a grappling situation. It's going to get him running to a straight, get dropped. And Ortega also even before the Holloway fight, we would he's been known to be hittable, but he has heart, he has cardio, and he's an amazing fighter. And he'll push through adversity and he'll find paths to victory. But he always been known for being a hittable fighter. He's still a hittable fighter unless something changed. And unless he really improved on his boxing and his striking and his time off, then in which I'm predicting this fight is from who I last saw. I don't know what he's been doing in training camp, but what he's improved, but I only can predict from what I see. And from what I've seen, Chan Sung Jung is just a much better striker. And I think stylistically wise, he can stuff Ortega's takedowns and he can neutralize his jiu-jitsu attempts or his paths to get to work jiu-jitsu. Then on the feet, Chan Sung Jung is a very sharp striker. If Ortega's going to allow him to hit him, he's going to hit him clean and on the button. I think Ortega's tough and got heart and all that stuff, but if somebody with that much power is hitting you clean, it's not your heart that's got to be in question. It's going to be your chin. And your chin and your consciousness and your physical human body can only take so much damage. And you're letting yourself get hit by somebody who hit as hard as Chan Sung Jung, as sharp as Chan Sung Jung. You're just going to get walked into shots and get picked apart, get cracked with big heavy shots and not really be having to do it. Not like Chan Sung Jung is going to be one of these sloppy guys that come out there just swinging big haymakers. He's going to be able to hit you as hard as he wants to hit you, or as hard as he needs to hit you, as many times as he needs to hit you. He's not going to go out there and just swing a bunch of big hooks and be woofing and weaving and heaving and out there. He's going to be hitting you sharp and clean. Minimum cardio, minimum exhaustion, minimum energy expenditure, and it's hitting him sharp and on the button. Ortega walking in kind of hand low or moving his head not enough, and just walking and right into that right hand, peppering with jabs and smacking with that right hand and cracking him. And Ortega not been able to get to where he needs to get. I think this is maybe Ortega might have a little bit of moments in this fight, but I really just see this fight ending within 3 rounds, with Ortega only being able to endure so much. I think eventually the power of Chan Sung Jung just wears on him. Then eventually he starts to break him down. In the 3rd round, he finds a shot, puts him out in that 3rd round. So in this fight, I got Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, via 3rd round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night, Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. And as always, thanks for watching.